Do, do, do. Gotta wait, gotta wait, gotta wait for everything to click over and start and wait some more. Wait, my friends. Okay, that's what oh my gosh, why am I so low? Hold on. Oh my gosh, I need to get Bitch needs to get a new chair. My chair keeps going down. It's probably 'cause I'm a fat ass. That's so rude to myself. That's okay. It's funny. It's fine. But don't you hate, like, when you're on a chair and then, like, you get back on it and you're like, "I was higher, but" Well, hello, Aspen, welcome. I was higher, yesterday when I was sitting on the chair. Why am I so low? Like, my knees are in my throat right now. Oh, because the chair slowly goes down. Yes, yes, yes. So I we've had conversations like this before, and we'll probably continue to have conversations like this because I can. Let's be honest, because I can, because we can. Um, you know, and they're important. People don't like talking about money. And I feel like we need to get past that. Like money is important to navigate the world that we are all a part of. And the more that we make it taboo, the more that we say, oh, um, not basically like not talking about money puts everyone at a disadvantage, I feel, because then it's easily utilized to manipulate, right? Whether you're working for a company, self-employed, whatever. Like, let's just be honest. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Money is necessary to live. We all have bills to pay. We all have lives, right? We all have things. And so this is going to be I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna have to do this in several parts or what, because I have a lot of notes, my friends. I was like writing shit down. Like, what do I want to say? What bothers me? And please, like this, I need to like sort of put out some disclaimers here. This is just like my opinion. Okay. These are my opinions. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of concerns. I have a lot of things that I am passionate about. Um, these are things that I have learned professionally, not just as a professional tarot reader, professional witch, but as a professional hairstylist when I was doing hair. Um, things that my mentors, tarot, hair, business, like mentors have shared with me. So these are just things that I'm just resharing and things that I've learned, and I'm putting that into motion here, I guess. And please, everyone, share your thoughts, share your opinions, share where you're coming from, all of it. Be a part of this conversation. We may agree, we may disagree, find ourselves somewhere in between. All of that is fine. We're hopefully adults here who have you know, a healthy conversation. But I will say, like, back in the day, like 100 years ago when I was young and beautiful, but now I'm just old and beautiful, but, it's okay. But years ago, when I was working in salons, I worked in chains. I worked in, like, popular chains, I worked in, like, smaller chains. I also was I've been self-employed, in high-end spaces, um, or higher end spaces, I should say. And so I've worked in various spaces where haircuts were like super fucking cheap, $10, okay? Quick, accessible, fast turnover, 10, 15, $20, depending on promotions, sometimes $7. And I was good. I was good. I was very good. It's funny because some people would come to me because they said that I had the touch where like when I like it was good and it was like not so good because like they said that when I cut their hair or when I, worked on them, their hair grew faster. And I'm like, "Oh my god, witchcraft, babes, witchcraft." But they would come back to me. I'm like, "Bitch, you're paying more money now. Come on." But no, they I had several people, several clients say that, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Cool." So with that being said, do you know what my days look like? Back to back clients. And this is very, 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 very typical in hair spaces and beauty spaces. Like back to back clients, no breathing room, very little bathroom breaks, no lunch. You know, they shit 13 to like 19 minutes per head. They wanted you to do a cut between 7 and 10 minutes, really. 30, pretty much. I talk a lot, so I like to make my clients feel, you know, important and welcome, so I would probably hit, like, probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but if it were up to me, it'd be a little longer, but whatever. So it was just, like, a lot of hustle, and by the end of the day, I'm tall-ish, I'm 5'11". And so by the end of the day, my lower back felt like it was carrying bricks. My wrist, it was just throbbed and my nervous system, you know, fried from constant small talk and constant performance because not only are you doing the actual work, but you're listening and you're taking on everyone's problems and you're taking on everyone's concerns and you're laughing and you're crying or you're, like, sharing heavy emotional stuff. There's so much that the stylist goes through with their clients. And so, yeah, like, did I have skill? For sure. I'm not gonna downplay myself, but, like, yes, I had skill. Was I giving my absolute best artistry every single time? No. No. Why? Because I couldn't, I couldn't. I had to move. I had to move. I had to just keep getting these people in and out. Boom, 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 just to make enough money to survive. Now, contrast that with when I worked in higher end environments. Let's say I was charging probably like, I'm trying to remember, it's been so long, you guys. I wanna say it depended on the cut, but it was anywhere between 50 and maybe even 85, for a cut, but that cut came with a lot of other stuff. So sometimes it was more. The same hands, same scissors, same skill set, but I was also a stylist who invested into my education. I was always going to hair shows. I was reading about it. I was taking classes, all of it, That's just me wherever I'm at. Um, but it was a completely different rhythm. I could actually consult with my clients properly. I could slow down. I could adjust. I could refine. And honestly, like most importantly, I wasn't destroying my body to survive. You know what I'm saying? So, why am I telling you all of this? Because I feel like this is across the board. When we're talking about charging for our services, charging for our products, charging for whether that be tarot, Kipper, Lenormand, psychic services, healing services, Reiki, crystal services, whether that be charging for conjure oils or spell bags, whether that's crocheted projects, whether that's your sourdough starter. I don't know. I have sourdough on my mind, but like these things, all of this stuff factors in. So I think across the board, it's very like universal, you know? So because again, I'm telling you this because it's universal, really. In my eyes, the way I see it, tarot is the same, spell work is the same, healing work is the same. When you charge too little, you are forced to move too fast. And when you move too fast in spiritual work, quality drops. You don't want to have that lackluster connection with your client. The illusion of affordable. So, let's talk about the $20 hour-long tarot session. on the surface, or shit, I know, I've seen some people charge $15 for an hour-long session, um, and I think back in the day, it was more common to do that, but, and then also just, the value of the dollar shifts and blah, 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 blah. But on the surface, it sounds generous, accessible, and kind, but let's break it down. Let's break it down. If someone needs to make, let's say, $4,000 a month just to survive modestly, rent, food, utilities, taxes, and they charge $20 per session, they need 200 sessions per month. 200 sessions per month. Consider that. That's 200 sessions. But if you think about, every session is obviously you're a human, a person. And I personally, depending on the client's questions, I don't like to see them every month. I don't want to, unless it's like an extremely different question. But I like to work with my clients and have them come back every 2 to 3 months, um, or when they feel they need a session. But, like, if it's the same question, I don't like that, because it's like, "Oh, we tackled that here." So there's nuance to it. So you would have to have, not just those 200 sessions for that month, you'd want, like, either 400 or 600 sessions lined up that would filter out, right? That's a lot. That is a lot. Fuck, that's a lot. And that's again, so 200 sessions per month, that's roughly 50 sessions per week. That's like 10 sessions a day, 5 days a week, 10 emotionally charged conversations. That's 10 hours. That's a lot of hours. Exactly. That's a lot of hours. And it's a lot of work. There's nothing wrong with the work, there's nothing wrong with doing the work, but it's a lot of, like, what it takes to do that and to prepare for it and to share in that energy with your client. That's a lot. Um, 10 emotionally charged conversations a day, 10 sets of anxieties, 10 breakups, 10 career crises? Shit. You can't say it. 10 grief stories, right? 10 nervous systems leaning on yours every single day. And so tell me honestly, can you give your best intuitive clarity on session number 10? Or are you tired by then? Is your interpretation sharp or are you fatigued? Now imagine that reader charging $120, $125, 145, 165, 185, right? They would need roughly 34 sessions a month to hit the same $4,000. That's about 8 sessions a week. 8 sessions a week. Do you see the difference in capacity? Do you see how pricing directly affects quality? This is not, again, y'all, this is not greed. So when we're talking about this, I don't feel like it's greed. I feel like it's healthy conversation. I feel like it's important to understand, yes, we're talking money, but there's nothing wrong with money here. It's not greed, it's physics. It's mental, what the fuck, mental? You guys, I can't. I'm, like, so embarrassed. What the fuck is a mental? I was thinking what the fuck is a mental? I was thinking money, mental, and gymnastics all at once, and my brain just said fucking mental. I am so, like, red in the face right now. Oh my god. I'm not editing that out. Mental. What the fuck? I can't stop there. We're done. That is the end. Oh my god. I don't. It's like it's, money, math, mental math, like all that shit is like it's a lot. It's what it is. I don't even know. So stop. It's energy in and energy out. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my god. But I think that that's important, because we recognize I really from I ju there's just no way unless you're doing, like I feel okay, and this also everything's going to be nuanced, right? So I feel like if you're doing quick reads, like, more like fortune telling, there's nothing wrong with that either, but like fortune telling quick, sort of like quick reads, you do 10, I think that was probably more doable. That and I still don't think you should be charging, what, $20, but anyways, that's just on me. My thoughts. But like, if it's that type of reading, I think that maybe that would be okay to do 10 a day. But like the type of readings that I do, the sessions that I do that I provide for me, and I know a lot of others, it's like doing 10 of those a day, that's a lot. And I personally could not I would not feel professionally okay providing that many a day, knowing what I provide to each client and what I want to provide to each client. Like by the 10th one, you wouldn't have the same person. And I can't allow that, right? That's not okay for me, and it's not okay to you or to my client, right? So that's something that we have to consider. How many sessions a day, knowing what we like to do, how we like to perform, what we provide, how many a day can actually, um, 100% sustain? That's something to consider. And now I'm going to say something as well that is possibly going to annoy people. And I know I talk about this a lot, and I don't say it to be offensive. I really just do not. We're going to talk about the hobbyist versus the professional. Okay. Aspen says I wouldn't want to do more than 2 or 3 daily. Yeah. I feel like for me, I my like sweet spot is, like, between 3 and 5. Like, I can do 5, it really just depends on the day, but, like, 4 is probably, like, great for me, you know? I like that. Because I like the way that the energy flows, it gives me time during my day to sort of, like, meditate prior to the client, and then kind of, like, cleanse and do ritual after to kind of, like, just reattune to myself and, recharge those batteries and then get back into for another client. So for me, it's like 3 to 5. But yeah, no. And again, I think that's because I have been doing this for so long and I've been doing like sessions like this for so long that I've sort of like built that sort of muscle memory and I'm capable of being able to hold that much right now. Does that make sense? I would even like if I was capable of doing more, I wouldn't want to. I don't think that energetically it would be right for me or anyone. So the hobbyist versus the professional. And let me like just make it clear, there's nothing wrong with being a hobbyist, okay? There's nothing wrong at all, okay? Um I do I do want to say though that if you are a hobbyist, if this is a side hustle, if you have someone at home who is the main breadwinner and you're just like fun income, I'm happy for you. But I would also I would encourage you to charge market value. Stop undercutting your craft as well as like when you do not charge market value, especially as hobbyists, like those of us who don't have that main breadwinner or breadwinners, I don't know how many, it's fine, no judging here. But like those of us who don't have that, who we are that and who we are providing and we have to pay those bills and those taxes and get those groceries and all of that, when you start charging like $2 for a card, $2 a reading, and it really fucks everyone over, yourself included. So, like, if you are a hobbyist, I would absolutely say stop being a bitch and charging like $1.50 for a reading, do better and charge accordingly to market value. Just because you have a solid home life and your bills are paid and all of that, I'm not judging you for that. I'm happy and I want that for everybody. But it is so important. It is so important that you stay within a certain bracket. And again, you can let me know what you think about that. That's fine. But we do need to stop hobbyist pricing and professional pricing should look the same. Uh, and I think one of the ways to do that is for hobbyists to start charging market value. If you're providing this, I mean, you should also be providing a very like a similar service, you know, because I have had I've lost a lot of clients due to hobbyists, which is fine. Like, obviously they're maybe not the clients for me, blah, 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 blah. But it comes to people question you like, well, why are you charging 185 for this service when this person over here is charging me they're charging me $15. And I'm like, yeah, but and then it's like I don't like then we are then put into a position where we feel like we have to sort of justify our what who we are, what we do as a business. And not a lot of people are put in that position really professionally, but we are. And so it's like I have years, like I've been doing this for shit, over 30 years of experience. Um, over 30 years of experience. I have had mentors, I have taken courses, I have trained, I have I've read so many books and I've applied myself and taken so many clients and worked and blah, 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 blah. Like I have so much backing me and I am still learning and I am still perfecting my skills. But it's like, so yeah, this person over here is charging you $15, but they also they don't have the same, you know, story as I do. This person over here is a hobbyist. Their husband is paying for them to and again, this is not a judgment. So I'm trying not to sound some type of way, but this is the reality of it where a lot of professionals and hobbyists get put against each other. um, this person over here has a spouse who is the main breadwinner, who pays for the bills, who pays for the utilities, who pays the taxes, who pays all of this. And so while their other, partner is able to play around and do things whenever they want, within whatever, parameters that they have for themselves. And so, yeah, they're charging you $15 because they're playing. Even if they take it seriously, they're not taking it seriously enough if they're charging that, knowing that there are professionals out here trying to, make ends meet. But that's the difference. Well, I like what they have to say. I'm gonna go with them. Okay, go with them. That's fine. Like, that's your choice, you know? So we have to it's important that we consider these. I guess we don't have to. I think we should, but a hobbyist doesn't rely on this income, if that makes sense, because a hobbyist in my eyes is someone who already has a main income source fueling their hobbies, right? So they don't rely on this income. They don't calculate taxes, they don't pay quarterly estimates, they don't track their overhead, they don't, factor in marketing costs, they don't consider burnout cycles, right? There's so many things that aren't considered from a hobbyist standpoint. It's like, "Ooh, I just like this thing. I like doing this, and I wanna kind of play with it, and I wanna do it. I'm gonna help people." There's nothing wrong with wanting to help people. There's nothing wrong with that. A professional though, like, and this is, we have to consider, we have monthly expenses tied directly to client work, okay? So, like, when you don't have a client that pays you, first of all, $15, I'm not trying to make light of it, but $15 unfortunately doesn't go very far, you know? Oh my gosh, you guys, I remember back in the day, I used to be able to fill my car up, like, gas-wise with, like, 13, $15. Ugh, shit. I was all over the place, back in those days, driving. But yeah, so again, a professional has monthly expenses tied directly to client work, has admin time, software subscriptions, and I don't mean like Netflix. I mean, like this right here, what I'm recording on, I have to pay for that. Cost me 31 to film mine yesterday. I know. I don't even. I try not to film mine. I'm just like, how much gas do I need to get to where I need to be for the week? Let's just start there. I know, but I'm like, it used to cost me 13 bucks. 13 bucks to fill my tank. So, like, and what I mean by, like, again, software subscription, so I have to pay for this monthly, and this right here, what I'm recording on, it costs me about 40 bucks a month. Because for me, I am not in a position yet to pay for the yearly, which would save a little bit of money, not a lot, but a little bit. So again, I'm not in that position right now. So I pay 40 bucks a month for this software, and that's not everything, that's just one portion to the entirety of what I do. And so software subscriptions. Website hosting. Website hosting costs. You have to pay for your domains, you pay for hosting, you pay for your shop, you pay for everything. Anytime someone buys something from you, fees get taken, right? Processing fees, credit card fees, all of these things get taken. Um, Professionals have should have, in my opinion, continuing education, and so we have to we choose to put money aside to invest into continued education, whatever that looks like. That looks like it could be a course, it could be a workshop, it could be a class, it could be training, it could be a book, it could be a video. I don't know, anything like that. Professional has tax liabilities. Professional has slow seasons and busy seasons. So that's another thing is like when you are a professional and this is what you rely on, you have slow and busy seasons. When you are a hobbyist, depending on what your main income breadwinner does, you don't have to deal with that. And again, even when you are a hobbyist, you don't have to deal with that the same way that a professional has to deal with that because this is just a hobby, like a side hustle for you. Does that make sense? And so the professional's price must account for instability because, again, here's something that no one likes to talk about. A lot of spiritual businesses are cyclical, right? Um, like for us, like when we were doing hair, it was around like right before tax time. We would have like a sort of like right between, like right after Christmas, was kind of a low point, and New Year's would be like New Year's Eve time would be a little high point, like a little blip, and then right after that, it'd be another sort of low, like tax time would be low, and then like right when people got their money from taxes, it would be like a peak. But yeah, so again, one month might be packed, another month might be slow. Election years tend to shift traffic. Economic downturns obviously shift traffic. Social media, this is another thing that we have to like that is taken into account nowadays that wasn't back when I was starting my business, right? Um, Algorithms shift traffic now. So like when people don't comment on my stuff, like my stuff doesn't get shared. I have on my Facebook page like 90,000 people, a little under that I think now. But only like 20 people see my stuff now. I used to reach thousands and thousands of people, right? But now because people stop talking to each other, people stop conversing, people stop liking or commenting, everything gets you get reprimanded basically. And so that's something that you have to also consider as a professional is social media algorithms and how they shift your traffic. If your pricing is razor thin, one slow month destabilizes everything, right? So like if you have a slow month and your pricing structure just sucks and it's not it doesn't sustain you, you have no cush. You have no cushion, right? You have nothing. And that stress has the potential to bleed into your readings. And people are like, but it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift. Um, fuck that. I really do hate when people say it's a gift. And let me get a sip. Hold on. But I do. I do hate when people say it's a gift. Even though sometimes it's not meant to be um rude or disrespectful or but like people don't understand what it means. But let's dismantle this gently. I don't know. I feel like sure. I feel like I just don't call any of it gift. Sometimes maybe I get caught up and use like this is terminology that most people use, but like it's a skill. Intuition is a skill. Your psychicness is a skill. Your ability to recognize patterns, read symbols, and all of that is a skill. It is a skill that is built, right? Pattern recognition is built, psychological containment is built, symbolic literacy is built, energetic management is built. The way that we learn as we get experience to communicate with other people, like human interaction, that is a skill that is built, right? You didn't wake up knowing tarot spreads. You didn't wake up knowing planetary timing. You didn't wake up knowing which herbs combine safely. You studied, right? You studied, and study is labor. Labor deserves compensation. We do not tell doctors not to charge because healing is sacred. We do not tell therapists not to charge because emotional guidance is sacred. Sacred work is still work. Yes? Yes. Sacred work is still work, my friends. And I don't understand why people think, "Oh, if it's a gift, it should be free." No. Why? And just because people have, let's say, so-called gifts, it doesn't mean that it doesn't take work to sustain them, maintain them, grow them, edit them, all of that. So like I said, I'm gonna be all over the place today. Another thing I wanna talk about is spell work, you know, and the $10 spell. Okay, I think I'm ready. So let's talk about witchcraft directly. Um, let's say someone advertises custom love spell, $10. Let's calculate that a little bit, okay? One candle can be anywhere between 3 to $8, right? Sometimes more. Let's just be nice, 3 to $8. If that spell requires herbs, maybe $2 to $5 per working, but that is also being generous because a lot of times, like some of the herbs you have to buy in bulk or you have to buy in a bigger package, which can cost what? Well, if you buy organic like me, whatever, it could be like 25, 35, $40 for the thing of herbs you need. Yes, you're only using a portion of that, but still what you have to factor in is if I have to acquire this, then I'm going to have to buy the bigger bag. Right? Does that make sense? And so that factors in as well. So it's not just $2 to $5 per working. It might be a little additional cost to factor in that I have to put this amount out initially, the full amount out initially. I know, exactly. Aspen says, and some herbs can be $25 an ounce or more. Exactly. And so like, yeah, yeah, that's why a lot of times some of the baneful herbs I have, or not baneful, but like poisonous herbs I have, I don't utilize because like that's for me and my work. Otherwise, I'd have to charge a lot more, right? And then, like, oil blends for your you don't need a lot of oil, you do not need a shit ton of oil. My friends, please do not be lubing up your candle, like, no, just don't. Like, a little bit goes a long way. So, oil ble they can, depending on what oils. Mhm. So, the same thing goes. You, let's say, paid, let's say, $15 for an oil blend, or it cost you, yeah, let's say you just bought an oil blend that you're gonna use in your working from someone you love, and they make really good oils, and you're like, "I'm just gonna use this," because if you have to buy all of the oils to go into making the oil you want, it could cost you hundreds of dollars, you know? Because, like, let's say you need rose oil, like actual rose or actual jasmine oil, right? Those are pricey. Anyway, so you bought an oil blend that from a trusted practitioner. So let's say 15 to $21 for that bottle, and it's a small bottle. Let's say maybe, um, 5 or not 5, let's say 10 milliliters. Yeah? Yes, you spent 15, 21 on the bottle. You're only gonna use probably like a dab or 2 of oil on that candle. So it could be $1 to $3 per use, maybe a little less, but you still had to buy that oil in full. So you have to make sure to consider that when you're, charging for your spell work. Incense costs money, paper, ink, fire safe materials, your time. That's a big one for me because, like, when I cast, I really pay attention to astrological timing. Like, I make sure that it's my thing. Like, I love it and I pay attention to it. And so, like, if I have to get up, like, at what, 4 AM, we're gonna factor that in. Okay? But, your cleansing work after, energy recalibration, the space that you're holding, already you're above $10 in material cost alone. So what's happening? What's happening here? Either corners are being cut, which I know a lot I've known quite a few people who don't charge shit for their spells, and I know that they're not cutting corners, okay? So it's like you're not making anything. You're costing yourself. So yeah, anyway, so again, back to being on track. Corners are being cut, materials are low quality, possibly. Time is rushed. The practitioner most likely is absorbing cost, or I find this a lot, not always, the spell is being done at hobbyist level. And what I mean by that, and again, that's fine, but that means that this person who's charging $10 for this spell, they are a hobbyist, and so, yes, they are absorbing the cost. They're charging so little because they can, and maybe this is what they love to do, right? And so, and then they're charging such an insignificant amount. And I don't say that to be rude from a money standpoint, but it doesn't cover the expenses, right? So, um, that's not professional pricing. So when someone charges, let's say, a fee for a targeted time, multi-day ritual with consultation and follow-up, clients sometimes think, "Wow, that's expensive." But it's not. I mean, it's not. We have to stop thinking from our sort of budget and start understanding, wow, okay, that might be expensive to my budget, but it is not in the long run expensive because I understand what goes into this, right? So it's costed, right? It includes, again, you know, planning, timing, material sourcing, energy management, aftercare. Again, hopefully the witch that you're hiring or the root worker, conjure, ritual, whoever, right? The magical practitioner that you're hiring has years of study, knows what they're doing. You've done your research. Word of mouth is good. So yeah, you're investing into yourself as well as into them because they have a track record. Professional spell work is not a tea light and a whisper. You can do that shit on your own, right? Professional spell work is strategic, and strategy requires compensation. Another thing that we have to consider, again, this is so nuanced. There are people out there who do community spells. Let's say, again, I know in one of the groups that I'm in, the Untamed Witch on Facebook, they do community spells. They do like $5 per person. And they do that on their behalf. Like they're like, this is a community service. If you want to, you know, invest, this is how much, and everyone in that group is blessed because like for me I would charge a lot more than $5, but again that's me, so that is a service that they are doing. And again, if you want to do that as well, that is on you. You have to make it right with yourself, but also understand when it becomes a community thing, you are going to be getting more than just one payment, right? And so you have to consider that, okay, maybe I can charge a little less here because we are expected to receive this many, this much of an investment. Does that make sense? And so the cost is covered, and then we have a little extra maybe to buy coffee or something. So again, obviously nuance is going to be required. We have to consider all of this depending on the type of spell work, our education, where we're offering it, how we're offering it. And I don't think that it would be a bad idea for some witches if you want to do like clinics, like spell clinics or whatever, where maybe one day a month, you offer a price um, decrease, right? It doesn't have to be every month, so people don't get, like, so accustomed to it or whatever. You can do, like, once a month or once every other month on a different day. You do, like, some sort of spell work clinic where people can hire you, and it can be, like, a price cut, right? So however you want to be of service, do that for sure, but, like, also be mindful that, $10 a spell is just not going it doesn't take care of you. Um and it's just not good to get people into the habit of thinking that this is how much things are normal naturally. Because no matter what, more often than not, people are going to assume that the least expensive worker is the normal because they want to believe that. So they're going to think, oh, they're charging $15 for a reading and $10 for a spell. That's natural. So what or normal? Why are you charging $150 for a spell and like $185 for a session, tarot session? You know what I mean? So like we have to I think it's just important for us to keep that in mind. Now, the dangerous ripple effect of undercutting. And here's where I feel like hobbyists and professionals get put against each other when we don't need to. We just need to come together, and do our best to support one another. Here's where it becomes community wide. When readers consistently charge extremely low rates, clients begin to anchor to that number psychologically because they want to. So when a seasoned professional charges appropriately, the client thinks they're being gouged, but they're not. They're hiring someone who, again, and I don't know why people think that people also think that we should just do this on the side. Like, this should not be like, go get a real job. This is my real job. I tell people all the time, like, if I got a 9 to 5, you would not know I existed. I wouldn't be doing this anymore. I've done it before. It is too much to work a full-time job and then to do this near full-time, even part-time. It is a lot because full-time work, in the mundane world and what corporate wants from you, there's no space, there's no room. It's too much. Yeah, I I would have to choose one or the other. And because it's so much. So, like, and I think it's so ignorant for people to be like, "Well, go get a." First of all, if you tell me to go get a real job and then you wanna book me, you're not gonna ever be my client. You are you are not ever going to be my client. I will not allow you to hire me. I won't take your money. I don't care if I needed it, right? You would not have that access to me. It's rude, it's disrespectful. Um, but yeah, so they don't recognize like, ho, oh my god, that they're hiring someone again. If you're working, you can only really do hobbyist level work. There's not time for the deep stuff. Right, right, right. And so like it also goes back for me, like, which I don't understand the hobbyist pricing model because like for me, if I only had time to do um a session, you know, a week, I still would not charge $10. It would still be appropriate because again, with everything I have to do in my day job, making taking that hour or 2 hours out of my time to be able to to serve a client the way I like to, I'll be charging you, because I can't there would it would not be okay, right? Right? So they forget we're paying taxes, tracking expenses, they're hiring someone who a professional understands burnout, structures workload intentionally, is in this long term, right? People don't consider like you have to also consider your housing, your where you live, what state you live in, hourly wages and what is a living wage for people in your area and what all of that stuff factors in. Hobbyists don't necessarily take that into account. Professionals have to. We have no other choice, right? It's important. So when you undercut dramatically, you don't just affect yourself, you are altering client expectation. And when clients expect spiritual labor to be cheap, professionals suffer. Professionals suffer. I saw this a lot Ass was like, "Yep, I could charge less based on my cost of living, but it definitely couldn't be $10." Yeah, and see, I think that again, it goes back to everything being nuanced. It is so important to consider, yes, your cost of living, but also, like, market value. So, like, if you could, let's say, afford to maybe let's say you're gonna do a reading for $65, okay? Let's say $65 for an hour. Let's say market value for an hour session, the general market value is, let's say, around 100, 125. It would be my opinion, my suggestion to at least do the bare market value. So do 125. So yes, you could do 65, but you know what? 125. However, this is where I would consider possibly altering it. If you read locally, right? Um, excuse me. But that would also change because, like, if you're reading locally, that what you'd have to kind of take into consideration is: are you renting a space? Is it costing you all of those other extra costs? Let's say all those other extra costs are covered and you're still able to charge 65 um, for that session and you're comfortable with that locally. Because locally, the cost of living is going to be very similar. And so, like, I could see where maybe someone who in that local area would charge accordingly in that space, but online pricing, right? If they have pricing from other spaces, back to 120, 125 ish, right? Everything's nuanced. So I would say consider that. So I'd be open to possibly doing that. What again, you have to work with what works for you, but also do your best to stay within market value. So yeah, now let me get a sip. Okay. Another thing that's so important, payment upfront always. Payment upfront always. And this is kind of like do as I say, not as I do thing, because sometimes I don't do this and I get myself into trouble and sometimes it works out. But it is so important and it's good practice for anyone out there to always get payment upfront because this is where so many practitioners can sabotage themselves. You do a reading first, then invoice later, and then what happens? Ghosting, delayed payment. Yep. Delayed payment, excuses, Venmo's pending. Meanwhile, you gave your time. Now you're short, let's say between a hundred and $500. Okay. Yes. It could be a lot, you know? Um, so you're short money. You hustle harder to make up that money. You squeeze someone into your calendar, you overextend, you exhaust yourself, all because you didn't take payment first. Payment upfront is not rude, it is very clean, it eliminates weirdness, it removes awkward money conversations, it filters unserious clients. So if someone cannot pay upfront, they are not ready to book and treat everyone the same. Friend, family, client for 30 plus years. Professionalism does not bend. Okay. I really want, I think people don't comprehend that a lot because, again, sometimes, like, again, as a hobbyist, it can be annoying, but it doesn't always, like, it doesn't affect, I don't know if this sounds some type of way. It's not meant to, but it doesn't affect the hobbyist the same way that it affects the professional who's relying on that income as their main income. Does that make sense? So, like, when someone doesn't pay you, you all of our stuff is considered like, okay, my bill is like just like anyone else. This bill is due on this day, this bill is due on this day, this bill is due on this day. Okay, we'll have these clients here. We're gonna do that. Um, and I'll have enough money to pay this bill, this bill, this bill, some food money, whatever. Got it? Well, when we don't take payment up front, oh, this person decided not to pay me, but they got their reading or their healing or their product, whatever. And so then you're out that money. You can't pay that bill. Maybe that bill will bounce. Then you owe late fees, but then other clients are mad at you because you have to figure out how to make up that money, right? And one, um, that one bill that you couldn't pay, right? That puts you out can set you back, honestly, for months, depending on the work you do, right? So for example, I crochet a lot. Like I do a lot of crochet things. That has very time specific. And also there's learning curves there with certain like new stitches or new patterns, whatever. And so if someone does not pay me and I'm expecting that, then I'm like, "Oh, fuck, maybe this bill has to whatever." So if I put myself in that situation, then, "Oh, shit, I have to stop crocheting my client's stuff. I have to stop packaging their boxes, and I have to, like, hustle the fuck out and try to make enough to cover this to make sure that I'm on time because no one wants to be late on their bills. It happens, but, like, no one wants that. Especially when we could have prevented that. Does that make sense? People assume, like, because of the work that we do, somehow it is right. Again, this goes, yep, fun money and bill money are very different things. Most hobbyists for fun money, exactly. And that's the thing is, like, I was just about to say is, like, um, people just assume that it's fun money for us, and it's not. It's the way most main breadwinners, when you go to a job, you make that money to pay for your stuff. That's how professionals have to do it too. So, All of that factors in, and people don't see the behind the scenes business stuff for a lot of us, because it's not your business. It's not your business, and I don't, we don't want you to see all of that. It's not your business in a negative way. It's just like this is not something you should have to concern yourself, and that goes into like I don't like when people are constantly sharing their sob stories. And I think that's a me thing. Like, it is different when I'm talking to patrons or friends. I feel like there's a different connection there. But like when you're running a business and you're constantly sharing a sob story, so people feel sad and bad for you to buy from you, I don't like that shit. That's not. I don't think that's good business. But that's just me. So yes, always take payment upfront. Um, Even when you don't want to, even when you want to help out, even when you want to be of service, even when you really want to be there, if they don't have that payment, don't provide the service. And like if they haven't paid you or put a deposit down, don't start that that custom project. Okay? Because a lot of times, and again, if they haven't put the money down, like half down or whatever your agreement is, or if they haven't paid you, don't order the custom materials for their project until you have some money that they have invested to cover it, right? So Aspen says, I've left several groups for that, always sell spells, but always begging for money. Like, girl, obviously your spells don't work. However, I will put a sort of like a caveat or a little nuance to that. I hope they're not selling. Well, I still hope. Yeah, I wouldn't sell money spells if I couldn't. You know what I mean? Maybe their money spells and abundance spells are out their thing, which is fine. But I hope they're not selling money spells. But it's like, okay, yeah, do not sell something you're not good at, and it's okay not to be good at everything. No, no. Prosperity and business coaching? Eesh. Yeah, that's a challenge. I'd be like, "No, take some time off or rework your business model," right? Because that's hard. That's hard. That's a challenge. Yeah. And, another thing we need to consider is, like, money changes, right? Pricing evolves. So, here's the nuance. Pricing is not static, it changes. Inflation changes, cost of living changes, your skill level changes, your demand changes, your energy capacity, like we were talking about earlier, your energy capacity changes. The economy changes. So you might charge, let's say $75 this year. Maybe you'll and I want you to always think about increasing your prices when always consider that where is a good amount for you to be to live the life that you want. So maybe you charge 75 this year and next year you're projected to increase to 95 and 125 after that. Consider all those things and start making plans to hit those marks. Again, this is not greed, it's adaptation, right? So when rent rises, prices rise. Oh my gosh, y'all! So we don't have a storage unit anymore, but we had one, and it was crazy from, like, COVID to, like, a couple years ago we stopped? But, like, they in 1 year, they raised the rent, like, 3 times. It was crazy. We were paying probably, like, almost another 65, $70 more than we started with. And so, like, when those things happen, y'all, we have to also reflect that. Does that make sense? So, like, yeah, everything around us is increasing. We can't keep our pricing the same because if we do, even if we can still manage to kind of pay our bills, we really still need to factor in that everything around us is increasing. If we don't increase, if we don't match that, and it doesn't mean we have to automatically up our pricing like $50, but like if we don't start increasing, because it doesn't ever go lower, right? So it's like it increased all of our pricing, all of our payments are increasing or services, whatever, and we don't increase our prices. But then the year after that, or even a few months after that, it increases again. We have to consider that. Does that make sense? We have to consider that because if we don't adapt, we'll be in a very challenged spot eventually. So yeah, when rent rises, prices rise. When demand rises, prices should rise. When your skill deepens, prices should rise. Every industry does this, right? In hair, it's like when someone went to school and they became like really good at hair cutting and they started to take extra classes, extra education, they became known as a master, sort of like um, cut specialist, whatever the fuck they call them nowadays. But like, they would be paid differently. People would seek them out. And so they were able to raise prices because, first of all, they have the education to match, but they have the experience to match. And they were in demand. And so, because they were in demand, they were able to raise their prices in a way that would mean, unfortunately, some people would be passed down to other stylists, right? Their entire clientele, but they would have more space for the people who would pay those, and so it would be okay. They would be okay. Does that make sense? All of those things matter, and so all of those things, like, factor in. Every industry does this. So why should spiritual work be the only one frozen in guilt? It should not. Um, Burnout is the silent killer here. Let me bring it, back to sort of hairstyling, um, one more time, probably more than one more time, but whatever. Stylists charging $10 cuts burn out faster. And why? Because they have to work harder. They have to work harder and faster. Their bodies break down faster. Their passion dims. Their creativity fades. I saw it all the time. The stylists charging appropriately last longer because they don't have to overwork their body. They can take time to facilitate and build relationship with their clients. And it's much more rewarding. Tarot readers are the same. When you are emotionally overbooked and underpaid, resentment can creep in. You start dreading sessions. You feel irritated by clients. Your intuition dulls. But when you are priced sustainably, you can show up grounded. And grounded readers give better readings. Better readings build stronger reputation. Stronger reputation builds stability. Stability builds longevity. Longevity builds mastery. Okay? And just think about it. And it makes me think of like, when you're undercharging, it's just like, ugh. And I feel hobbyists eventually will get there, but as a hobbyist, what I don't know that I don't even know they recognize they're undercharging. They're just so excited to have a hobby. Does that make sense? I'm really not trying to I'm not attacking. I'm just putting it into perspective. But they're just so excited and it feels good. Oh, I made $10. They don't understand how that compares. So, oh no. It's important. It is important to understand these things because when we are working so hard and we are undercutting ourselves, then it's a lot of work in the sense of I give so much, but I receive so little. And then because you are asking for so little, you can't necessarily pay all your bills. And then you're just like annoyed that you're doing this session, but you have to do like five more just to make up to pay this and pay that. Does that make sense? It was the same way with my art. I got so resentful of people when I would spend 20 hours on something and only get 150 to 200 when it should have been yeah. Yes. Yes. I absolutely hear you. It's kind of like similar to in a way with like crochet because I make, the crochet things. Oh, sometimes sometimes this takes a lot longer and sometimes it doesn't, and people don't wanna pay when it takes you a lot long, and it's like, okay, that's why I stopped doing custom work, because it's just no. Just no. I do what I like when I want, yeah, because people don't understand. People are so used to being able to order something and get it immediately at like more than half the cost and don't recognize that's just not how things go. Right? Same, same. So, this is just like a conversational piece. Like this is just some things that I answer for myself when I'm trying to price and I'm trying to come up with a system that works better for me. I'm gonna give you like a practical pricing formula, like a walkthrough, to stop guessing and start calculating, right? So maybe you can work with it, perfect it for you, all of that. We've talked kind of a little bit about philosophy, about burnout. We've talked about, how this kind of is universal because of how it fits hairstyling, art, work, emotional labor, all of that. Now we talk numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, you are not pricing. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I hope so because, like, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable talking about money. Like, we need to stop. The fact that, like, we always get told not to talk about money is the fact that we need to, because people get so weird about it, and it's a form of manipulation, right? So we don't, see how money is being utilized to manipulate us to keep us in certain spaces, but the more we talk about it, the more we're comfortable talking about it, the easier, um right. The easier it becomes to address the sort of inconsistencies, inequity, if inequities? Fuck. A word popped into my head and I was like, "Okay, did I use it per quality?" And the pay brackets and all of that. So yeah, it's hot in here, you guys. My office is getting hot. But yeah, if you don't know your numbers, you're not pricing your shit. You're guessing. You're guessing. And guessing is what keeps people broke. Okay. So grab a notebook and let's go. So step one in my thoughts, step one is to calculate your baseline survival number, not your dream life. Okay. Not luxury, but baseline survival. Okay. That's extremely important to know. So you need to ask yourself, these are important. Um, uh, right? Also, oh, how did that go? I meant to do this one. So ask yourself, what does it cost me to exist for 1 month? And also, you guys, like, again, what does it cost my family, like your family unit, whatever, to exist for 1 month? So you need to consider your rent or mortgage, utilities, internet, phone, food, gas, transportation, insurance, subscriptions. And what I mean by subscriptions, I've already talked about this, is like, um, what the fuck? I was about to say wooking. I'm trying to my brain is processing too fast, not wooking. Website, booking software, email platforms, etc. So that's what I mean by subscriptions, the things that you have to keep your business running, not like Netflix or HBO Max or YouTube premium. So just subscription. So pay attention to that. And then your debt payments, any debt payments, amount of that. And savings minimum. Do as I say, not as I do. So definitely put that as a requirement. Savings. Like what can you put away for what do you want to or what can you like survival wise put away for savings? Okay. Just even right now, if it's just a little bit, put that there. Okay, and taxes. What do you need to save for taxes, right? Put that put that in. Add that up. I think that I did fairly well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would consider, um, like gas, transportation, internet, phone, utilities, rent, mortgage, food, insurance, subscriptions, debt payment, savings. I think all of that, yeah. Um, so add all of that up, and that is your monthly survival number. That is what you need to just survive, right? Let's say, for example, it's like 4,500. Okay. That's just your reality. It's not indulgent. That's just the base minimum that you need to survive each month. If now, if your pricing does not support at least that number, you are running at a deficit. You have like if your pricing does not support at least that number, you are running at a deficit. Okay. So I will also say for those of you who are hobbyists, um, I don't know. I don't know how I would like you would have to alter that a little bit because if you're not the main breader fuck. If you're not the main breadwinner and you don't plan on being and you don't want to be, like, you would still have to factor in, like, how much you would wanna take on, and it would still have to it would still be important to stay within market standard, but your amounts might be slightly different. So maybe you have like let's say you want to do half, right? Half of your you can figure out the baseline for your family unit with both like with your partners and then like divide that as needed and if you want to do that. But yeah, alter it to what works for you. But always just be mindful. Like that's how much you need to support, right? Step 2, determine your capacity. So now we ask a different question here. How many sessions can you realistically do per week without burning out or per day? You can break it down as well, but like let's say per week, okay? Be honest. Don't like listen to your ego or desperation, like I need like don't listen to your desperation or, be honest. Not your ego, not your desperation, but your nervous system. How many sessions can you realistically do per week without burning out? And maybe that number is 12 sessions per week. That's 48 sessions per month. Now divide your monthly survival number by your realistic monthly session capacity. So let's say we have 4,500 divided by 48. That's about 93.75. Okay. So your sessions need to average about 95 minimum just to survive, not thrive, but survive. Does that make sense? And that's before, business growth, for reinvestment, before scaling. So, do you see how quickly the math kind of clarifies things for us? If you're charging $40 per session in this example, you are mathematically undercutting your own survival. And no amount of spiritual optimism fixes that. So important to know. So important to know. Okay. So, our third step is to add a buffer for reality. And I think here's where most people sort of like miscalculate. They assume every slot fills, and it won't. It won't because you have to understand that you will have cancellations. You will have slow seasons, algorithm dips, economic shifts, personal health days. So you don't price for perfect months. You price for realistic months. Okay. That's a huge thing that kind of like I was doing before. I was like pricing, like, okay, well, if I can do this amount, if I needed this, like I can do this a month. No, I need to consider like some like realistic months, like challenging months, right? What does that look like? And if I only have that, what do I need to price at, right? So that's something that I had to like really discover myself. Like, whoops, I missed a step, right? So again, you don't price for perfect months, you price for realistic months. So if you expect only 75% of your calendar to fill consistently, adjust your formula. So if you use the same example, 48 possible sessions at 75% fill rate, that's about 36 sessions per month. Now divide again. 4,500 divided by 36 is 125, right? That changes everything. Suddenly, the expensive $120 reading isn't excessive, right? It's strategic. We understand why we're pricing it this way. Um, Another thing to consider is like your spell work pricing formula. If you apply this to witchcraft services, I don't think we can price it the same as tarot because again, spell work is different. It includes consultation time, planning time, material cost, ritual time, cleanse, reset time, follow up communication, right? So let's say consultation is like 30 minutes, ritual planning and prep is an hour, ritual execution is an hour, cleanse reset time is 30 minutes. That's 3 hours total labor. 3 hours. Okay. Now, and again, that's just giving an example. If it doesn't take you that long, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Uh, I don't know how I feel about that. Not that I'm saying every working should be 3 hours long at all, but like I think 30-minute consultation is not that much. The hour for ritual execution, I think, is fine. Ritual planning and prep, that 1 hour would definitely be adjusted. Um, could be adjusted for sure because, like, again, that depends on your experience level. That depends on so much. And then cleanse reset time, 30 minutes. That's I think that's fair. It very well could be down to 15. Um, so yeah, just this is just stuff to consider. So, with that, now ask if your hourly rate needs to be $100 to sustain your life. What should that spell cost? 3 hours times $100 is $300. Now add material costs, say $25. That spell should be at minimum 325. Suddenly, that $10 spell listing makes absolutely no sense. It's not generous, it's unsustainable. And I'm not telling you to sell your spells for 325, but it's putting it into perspective how to work this, how to utilize it, and to be mindful of your time, your timing, your everything. When you know that, you know what you're able to put out there. Does that make sense? And step 5 here is to adjust for experience and demand. Let's talk about growth. So, if you are new or building clientele or developing skill, your rates may start lower. But, and again, just because you're building clientele doesn't mean you're new. Like, I will be very honest, I'll be 100% with you. Like, I had a pretty much full business. And during COVID, as well as during Trump era, um, I lost like 95, 99% of my clientele. Some of it was because I was very vocal about COVID being real. I was vocal about where I stand with politics. I stand with, you know, I was very vocal in Black Lives Mattering, trans Black Lives Matter. Like I'm very vocal, and I don't know why people don't understand that because I've always said that. But I lost a lot of my clientele who I was shocked to realize how many conspiracy theory Trumpies I had as clients. I'm like, "What the fuck? Y'all, do you know who I am? Why the fuck?" And like longtime clients and people who I considered friends. So like just because you're building clientele doesn't mean you're new, just means circumstances happened. And so whatever, we're not going to judge. I just wanted to share that because again, that's where I'm at. It's where people can be. All of that has to be factored in as you're developing your pricing structure, right? So again, if you are new or building clientele, developing skill, your rates may start lower. But here is the rule: raise your rates as your skill improves, demand increases, your confidence stabilizes, and expenses rise. Pricing is not static. It evolves with inflation, cost of living, market shift, personal growth, economic climate. Um, and again, like shit, haircuts don't cost what they did in 2005, and neither should your readings. Neither should your readings. Hear me? Your product, your readings, anything. Because even like if you think about it, cost of product back then was also different. Cost of product now is a little intense. You can't be selling your shit and make no money. You have to make sure it's sustainable. Okay? Okay. Um step 6, I think we're on, payment structure. So, now we lock in professionalism. Payment upfront, not because you're sus, right? Not because you're suspicious, um, but because clarity prevents chaos. I think when we have the money in hand, it's like, okay, that's out of the way. We don't have to like, oh, linger. We did like I don't even think if I can mention that. Aspen says, "Oh my god, I couldn't believe the cost to ship one little box. Never mind the increase and everything else." I fucking know, and they keep increasing. It's crazy. Y'all, something that used to cost me like $4 to ship here, like within my state is now like it was like now I think it was like $14. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" You know? And y'all, that's not just it because I pay discounted rates because I pay through, um what is it? PayPal, they have it used to be ShipStation, it's no longer ShipStation, but whatever. I pay discounted rate or through eBay. Um, but the retail rate is stupid as fuck. Stupid. I'm like, y'all suck. Like that's the thing that like I don't comprehend. Like you're raising your rates, but you guys suck. You suck. I don't, I don't know how else to put it. Like they're rude. They do. Like, we had a package, like, Michael Dubs, so not me, I'm not talking to myself in what is it, 3rd person? Um, Michael, his friend, our friend, sent him something last month. It might have been a month ago, I think, yeah. Sent him something. It literally was an hour away from us. It went from being an hour away from us in California to North Carolina, and it is in transit somewhere. And we've had several boxes lost, like within the last couple years, and they don't care. Well, all they say is, "Well, we see what you see, on your end when you look up tracking." I'm like, "How is that?" Like, if you're the post office, right? If you're the post office, how the fuck do you have no access? How do you have the same access as I do? You should have detailed access. You know what I mean? And they're not helpful. They're rude, and it's just ugh, don't get me started. But yeah, it's that's another thing. People are like, "Oh my gosh, why is it so much to ship?" I'm like, honestly, when I ask you for shipping, I try to keep it as low as possible, but, like, it just costs a lot, and a lot of times I take it. Like, it shouldn't, but I take it. Like, I take the hit. There even if it's, like, a couple dollars or 50 cents or whatever, I'm getting it's never it's it's rarely ever where you're paying full price for shipping, because it's so easily to get miscalculated, and I'm always end up paying more. Um That's crazy. Had a $900 box of crystals disappear last year, completely disappeared. Yeah. It's just I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. But, yeah, when payment comes first, you avoid that awkward chasing, you avoid energy resentment, you filter unserious clients, and you stabilize your income flow. Upfront payment is not harsh, it's just clean for everyone involved. Step 7, emotional calibration. And finally, here's the piece that, like, no, what the fuck? I've had so many. I'm just like really passionate and excited about this topic that like my brain is working on overdrive and the mouth is just not respecting. Okay. Um this is like the piece that no spreadsheet can actually measure your nervous system. If you price correctly, you will feel steady. If you underprice, you will feel anxious, resentful, panicked, overextended. That feeling, my friend, is data. If your pricing causes constant stress, adjust it. It's important to make sure that you are comfortable with your pricing, but also that it is comfortable with you and your life. And that's why it's so important to have all of this data. So you know what you know your baseline. You know what you need to be cared for and care for. And when you are undercharging and undercutting, you do a disservice to everyone and no service to anyone because it's just toxic. Um and it doesn't take care of anyone. It just doesn't. So just remember that charging appropriately is not greed. It's just math. It's math meeting our reality. It is sustainability meeting self-respect. It is ensuring that 5 years from now, you are still practicing, not burned out, not resentful, not scrambling. And when you price from clarity instead of insecurity, your work changes. You slow down, you deepen, you refine. Clients feel that difference. Okay. All right. And so here's something I also want to talk about. I kind of have a rough draft of this in my note section. Um, so I kind of want to provide a sort of example on how to scale, right? How to scale your pricing structure, how to like, get more and charge more. So like let's say you're in a foundation phase and you're charging, I don't know, like 50 bucks. Let's say which I think if you're charging 50, you need to charge more. I do. That's on me though. Like if you're doing 50 for a like 35-minute reading, cool. That's whatever. I personally think that everyone should at least be charging 125 an hour. So do with that what you will, at least a minimum. But I can see 75, 85 an hour as well. Again, just depends on your experience, blah, 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 blah. But just make sure to do your research with market value. Okay. And try to stay within that. And if you do a little under that, do not don't do it in a way that's undercutting at all. Like where it's like, oh, $2. So let's say you're in the foundation phase, and let's say you're charging like $50 for a reading. This is like your early professional stage. Maybe you are building testimonials, and y'all do as I say, not as I do. Start collecting testimonials. I've started ages ago, but then I my computer crashed. I'm sorry, I got girl. Um, and so I lost all my testimonials. Oh my god, I lost so much. But yeah, start now. Start collecting testimonials, and it's fun to also compare like, your early testimonials to like as you get more experience and blah blah blah. Yeah, I've got a friend who's just starting professionally. He's charging $45 for 30 minutes. I'm terrible at math. I think that's not that I'm like not that what I think matters. Oh my god, judgy over here. So, okay, you're building testimonials, refining some of your session structures, gaining consistency, learning your pacing, and building confidence. Okay. So at the foundation phase, this is what you're doing. And at $50, maybe for let's say 45, 6 minutes, I would say 35, 45-minute session. I don't feel like you should be charged like doing hour sessions at $50 an hour, but that's just my opinion. But the foundation stage, whatever you decide to charge, you are not fully sustained yet. This is a growth phase for you. Your goals here should be to build repeat clients, improve delivery, collect testimonials, track session timing, and build referral flow. I am so terrible at this, and so I have to get better at this, you guys, because this wasn't taught to me, right? Um, and also, it's okay to reach out to your clients, like, once in a while, say, "Hey, thinking of you. I hope you're doing well." Just check in with them. And it's okay to say, "Hey," um, don't harass them, be genuine, but it's also okay to say, "Hey, if you want to book a reading, I have sessions, this upcoming week," but, like, let some time pass, right? Don't, like, you shouldn't check in with them less than a month ahead, right? Had their session, don't check in, like, 3 weeks down the road. You could to book a session anyways. You could check in with them 3 weeks down the road, say, "Hey, I was just thinking of you, and how's this going? Did you apply this?" You can definitely do that, but also do so in a very professional way where you're not again, it's so I have a lot of clients who are friends, and so I like that relationship, but also it's important to be to make sure you have that professional relationship as well. So it's a lot like do as I say, not as I do. But make sure that they recognize like, oh, this is just a professional conversation. It is genuine, it is authentic, and you're checking in because we discussed something in the reading and you want to know, right? Um, because then we can get into problematic situations I have been in when you have friends and those lines get blurred. Not always, but sometimes. So again, your goals and your foundation phase is to build repeat clients, improve delivery, collect testimonials, track session timing, and build referral flow. So you're not supposed to stay here forever. For sure. For sure. Oh my god, the stories. So do not stay here forever. This your foundation phase is a stepping stone, and when I say your foundation phase, I also mean your foundation pricing is just a stepping stone. So, a red flag to consider I don't know if I consider a red flag, but whatever, you get what I mean. If you are fully booked constantly at $50, that is your signal to raise your rate. I will say constant full booking is equated to underpricing, okay? So I know a lot of hairstylists who they were so booked, they had to turn people down, and they were, like, triple booking themselves, and it's like, it was a problem, and I'm like, "That's a time where you really need to start raising your prices." And then they had that fear of like, "Well, then I won't have clients." It's like, "Yeah, you will." Because you literally have 3 times as many clients, but if you raise your rates, that will sort of, like, weed out some of those clients, right? Not that you're trying to, like, say, be rude about it, but it's like, you need to raise your prices and you'll still be booked, you just won't be as busy, and you won't have to you won't have to be as busy, and so that's a really good sign, like, "Okay, I'm fully booked at this rate." It's time and I'm turning people away or I'm trying to fit people in, it's time to, raise those prices, right? So, our second stage would be, like, the stabilization phase. Let's say in this phase, you're charging maybe $75 to $95. Again, pricing is just an example, use whatever works, whatever is necessary. What you can do right now is, like, treat whatever you're charging now as your sort of, like, foundation phase and start building again strong like that, and then start applying yourself, like, and think of it that way. Stabilization phase, you now have your testimonials, you have repeat clients, you have structure, you have better energetic pacing, so you raise your rate by 25 to $45. Important note here, you do not apologize when raising rates. I saw this happen a lot in the hair world. "I'm so sorry, but, like, have to raise rates. It has to happen. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Why?" So do not apologize when raising rates. You announce it professionally. So beginning on whatever date my new rates will be, and that's it. That's it. This stage reduces burnout. It filters unserious clients, increases perceived value, and it tests your confidence. You may lose a few price sensitive clients, okay? And that's okay. And this is where it's good to have people that you know who do this as a profession as well. So like when and again, it's not a judgment thing. It's recognizing other professionals at where they are. So, like, if you're in, let's say you're in stage 2 stabilization phase, and you know someone who is in stage 1, the foundation phase, and so you can then refer your clients who are like, I just I can't do this," um, refer those specific clients out to foundation person, right? Okay. And that also helps too when you have the ability to share the wealth and share and knowing that they're doing, they do well readings, well sessions, blah, 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 blah. So share. Why not? Why not? Be that professional. So you may lose a few sensitive clients and that's okay. You are not building a business on fragility. Okay? Period. And that's just it's life. It's what has to happen. Um, I would also caution you not to be like, "Well, I'll keep you at this price," or "I'll take you," just you, because that sets that sets an energetic tone about you and what you're going to allow, as well as, it creates a sort of like a powered shift dynamic where your client now has power over you. Don't do it. Stage 3, let's say professional recognition phase, and this may be 100, let's say 110 to $135 or whatever. So stage 3, this is where you start operating like a true professional. At this stage, you are selective with bookings. You may have a wait list, some people do, that's great, I love that for them. You may offer limited spots. Sometimes this happens, I see this in hair as well, like where, people who are usually really, really booked, they allow themselves to maybe work an extra day. So, like, I knew someone who was fully booked, comfortable, they only work 2 days a week. But once in a while, usually during holidays or whatever, they would open their books and they would have limited availability and they would just work an extra day, and it didn't burn them out, because they were only working 2 days a week, which was their normal. So that extra day was okay for them, and they got in, certain clients or, whatever. So that wait list happens. So you may offer limited spots or session quality is refined here or name carries reputation. Yes. And now your pricing should reflect your skill, your demand, your consistency, your brand strength. Your you also likely should have, I think you have this no matter what, but like at this stage, you for sure should have cancellation policies. You definitely should always be taking payment up front. Um, and maybe have tiered services, offer packages, so you are no longer trying in this stage, you are established, right? And then we have stage 4, which we can say is like a premium professional phase where you may be charging 150 to 165 and up, right? This is where many people panic, but here's the truth. At 165 per session, you do not need many clients, okay? Let's run the math. So $165, 30 sessions a month is about 4,950 bucks, right? That's significantly, oh my god, fewer sessions than someone charging $50 a month. Fewer sessions equals deeper quality. Premium pricing works best when you have strong testimonials, you have refined delivery, you're energetically contained, you are confident, you provide high value clarity, okay? Your sessions are transformational. So it's more about the service you're providing, who you are, what you've refined, your education, and the quality that you give, and the relationship that you've facilitated with your clients, at this point. And so much to consider here. Premium clients do not want rushed energy. They want grounded presence. And premium pricing allows you to provide it. So these are all just like guidelines. There's so much nuance that will go into each phase and where you are and what is comfortable with you, and also like what is the your baseline survival, also the other stuff that factors in, all of that, all of it. Okay. Um and consider creating a sort of, strategic rate rising say that 5 times fast. Strategic rate raising timeline. Strategic rate raising timeline. Oh my god. Come up with that for yourself. Think about where you are now, where you'd like to be, and base all of that on your income currently. Going to have to adjust as each year passes for sure, but consider moving from where you are to where you'd like to be maybe over the next couple of years, let's say 2 to 4 years. So, your first year, consider what you're charging now, okay? And, like, what you'd like to raise it to, or what you need to raise it to be on, like, this, 2 to 4 year, timeline, okay? And then the second year, what you've raised it to what you need to raise it to as well. If you're on a 2-year timeline, or if you're on a 4-year timeline, you can play with that. Does that make sense? And year 3, it's the same thing. Year 4, it's the same thing. All of these increases, okay, will depend on skill growth, market demand, cost of living, confidence, client feedback. So don't jump to like $165 overnight unless demand is overwhelming and you can. I'm not going to judge where you are right now. It's your stairs to step, right? To step on. So you just determine all of that. You determine all the effects, but be mindful of where you are and allow yourself time. And I would also say clear, be very, very clear, your clientele. And also, oh shit, there was something I was going to say and I totally left my head. Let your clients know, what you're studying. I think that's important too because clients don't really know, like, oh, why are they charging? Well, I'm taking a course and I'm really excited to share in my readings. Um, what I learn, or I'm invested into this business course, or let your clients know, keep them informed, like why you matter, why they're paying you what they pay you, because you're actually investing into your skill set. And it could be a newsletter that you send out ever so often on what you're learning and what you want to share with them, and you know keep them involved so they feel connected to you, and they understand like, "Oh, yeah, this bitch is doing something." That makes sense. So I think it's also let me get a sip, you guys, let me get a sip. It's also important where am I at? Okay. I'm almost done, you guys. It's important to raise rates for your new clients first, okay? So when you're scaling, keep existing loyal clients at their current rate for a selected grace period, okay? New clients will pay the new rate. This was done a lot when in hair. Um, your new clients will pay the new rate. So this does 2 things. It rewards loyalty, You're not saying that you're gonna be paying this rate forever and the new clients pay this rate going forward. No. You're saying you have a grace period, you know, to pay what you've been paying. So that rewards loyalty. And also, like, if you wanted to, that grace period, you can say, like, maybe instead of a grace period for sessions, you can say you have 2 to 3 sessions at this current price, and then after that, it will increase, right? So again, it rewards loyalty and transitions your market gently. After a set time, everyone transitions. Clean, professional, and transparent. What I noticed a lot in the hair industry is when stylists would raise their prices. So let's say, they're going from 75 to 125, right? All new clients would be booked at 125. Um, Current clients, loyal clients, right? They would be given a grace period. And so the stylist would be like, "Okay, every time you come in, we're going to for however long they had their grace period, we will increase the price of the session or service so much until you get up to this price, right? So maybe like their next session that they booked instead of 75, it was 85, right? And then the session after that went from 85 to um 97. Does that make sense? Until they got to 125. Then they would and so it's honoring, like, oh, and this is also good too, I think, because you okay, you have a grace period, you're gonna pay me, 75 for 5 months, and then you're gonna go up to 125. That kinda still could be a shock, right? But if you slowly budget them in and you slowly work them to paying up to that amount, then they start getting used to it month by month or whatever. They're like, "Okay, well, okay, this they're used to paying you that much." So that shock or that when they end up to 125 or whatever it is, it's not a shock. It's like, "Okay, yeah." Does that make sense? So you're more apt to retain that client because first of all, they're loyal, they've been with you. Second of all, you've been transitioning them from the original up to the new. And just, it feels good. It feels good. Um So yeah, I would that's just something to consider. So what happens when you raise rates? You may book fewer sessions, okay? That happens and that will happen. That's you kind of you want that to happen. People like again, going back to hair, you want to book fewer sessions because when you are completely booked, you are borderline burnout. You're pushing yourself. So when you increase pricing and you book fewer sessions, you are wanting to make more than you were, maintain as well at least a baseline survival. And so when you aren't working as hard, but you're still being compensated, rightfully so. That and again, booking fewer sessions is not failure, it's you recalibrating, right? So if you were overbooked, let's say at $50 and now book 20% fewer sessions at 95, you may actually make more money with less. Gosh, this is where many practitioners emotionally panic at lower prices again. Don't let the market recalibrate. There's a psychological shift that is required. Scaling requires letting go of scarcity clients, trusting your skill, trusting your math, releasing the savior complex, releasing guilt. We're not responsible for being everyone's cheapest option. Okay. We're going to say that again. You are not responsible for being everyone's cheapest option. You are responsible for being sustainable. Okay. So if you're constantly exhausted and fully booked at low rates, that's not success. That's a signal. The signal is it's time to rise. Okay. So to wrap things up a bit, if you want to read for fun, do it. If you want to occasionally throw a spell with friends, do it. But if you want to build a professional practice, run the numbers, calculate reality, take payment upfront, price accordingly to skill, cost, and capacity, adjust with the times, protect your energy, respect your labor. Okay. Charging properly does not make you less spiritual. It makes you sustainable. And sustainability is what keeps you in this craft 10 years from now instead of burning out in two. Money is our enemy, instability. And instability often begins under prices. So charge clarity, charge with structure, charge with intention, and let your work breathe because you finally can. All right. With that being said, even if you like for me, again, I'm gonna go back. Like if you want to read for fun, want to throw the occasional spell for fun, go for it. If you're doing it as if you're charging for it, charge appropriately. Stop undercutting. Start marketing yourself. Even my hobbyists, start pricing at market value. Stop fucking with $10 spells and $2 card readings. Period. Because people who pay for those have the ability to do more and should. It's disrespectful. So if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns at this point, feel free to let me know. If you're watching a recording of this, I haven't decided if I'm gonna make this public or not because I'm not sure I wanna hear people's rude ass commentary. I do wanna hear yours though. I do wanna hear yours. If I've shared this with you, I'd love to hear yours. And again, this isn't a call out to anyone specific. I'm not singling anyone out. This is just stuff that's been on my mind, and I've had several questions lately about pricing, pricing structure, what to do, what not to do. Um, and this is just my personal opinion, my experience, but my experience doesn't, doesn't mean it's for everyone. Well, thank you. Yes, it's yes, and it can be done. It can be done. It's just yeah. I think also, like, if you approach it this way as well and run the numbers, it'll help you to slowly adjust into getting back to where you want to be. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. But I hope that my rambles have been somewhat useful, and fun. But I do thank you, and again, anyone watching a recording of this, let me know your thoughts, let me know what you have to say. Yeah, there's so much there. There's so much that I'm still thinking about, but I'll if you wanna continue this conversation, let me know, and we can do separate videos. We can talk about again, we can talk about money, we can talk about, charging, specific numbers, whatever you'd like, we will cover if I can. Um, but, like, yeah. If you wanna make this a thing, we can make it a thing. Let me know what that looks like for you, but I'll think more about that as well, but I'm happy to talk about what I know. I'm just trying to think of how we incorporate it all. But yeah, let's not be like, and it's good to build a network of people who we can refer out. Like, oh, okay, this is where I'm at in my business. It's not judgment. It's not like this is I'm in stage two, and so like I can refer out to stage one, and then when people are in stage three, they can refer out to stage two. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. So when we build a network like that, we start supporting each other and we start helping each other with our own businesses. And so as we grow, right? So if I get to stage, if let's say I'm to stage four, I can refer out to stage three, and then the stage three can refer out to stage two, refer out to stage one. It's just something that helps us all grow. And when we think about it like that, we all win. We all win. It's not a competition. We're simply here to be of service and to help our clients, right? And to help ourselves as well, to be able to pay and afford the things we need. Again, I'm leaving now. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I will talk to you all very soon. Let me know with any other questions you might have and what you'd like to do, what you'd like to discuss about this moving forward. I will talk to you soon. Take care.